actually, through 6th grade in a hybrid model, and also servicing those families that wish to remain in a distance learning program. And as we began working now to what it would look like for 7 through 12, knowing that we have some comprehensive schools that are very large in population size, and then we also have some K-8 in our alternative schools, and we knew that there'd be very likely some unique plans that would have to be developed. And one of the guidelines that we asked of our secondary schools is, as we're moving forward and we change in different tiers, and we are very cognizant of the numbers, and we know how they can, how fluid these numbers are in regards to the pandemic. We asked our secondary schools to work collaboratively and come up with a plan that would allow a phased-in approach as well, much like what we did with the elementary schools, where we brought a small amount of students on at a time, where we could throttle the numbers down if needed, and then throttle the numbers up when possible. So our teams worked very hard, and I'm very pleased. We all are. My entire superintendent team up here is very pleased with the plans that they came up with in order to do that. So at this time, I'm going to ask Jamie Nino, I believe is the first one to start, and Carl Kesterke. They're both going to be presenting as they are the area administrators who oversee our secondary schools. And we also have several of our principals here tonight in support. So I'm going to ask Jamie to go ahead and begin the presentation on secondary schools.
Good evening to all our board members, and welcome, Trustee Hurd. Looking forward to meeting you.
Jamie, you might need to put the microwave a little bit down.
And happy holidays. Is that better?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Thank you, Mrs. Jones, for that introduction. And our secondary schools plan, I'm going to introduce that to you today and just walk you through how we came up with the plan. And one of the first things that we did, we looked at how we opened our elementary sites. And as Mr. Hernandez and Mr. Vang, you had a chance to see that in action, and you're right, looking at paper is a lot different than seeing it in person. And so with our elementary site opening, we have learned that a slow rollout was very helpful in order for us to get started with our elementary sites. If you also remember, we started with cohorts. And so we brought groups of students onto our campuses. Our secondary also brought groups of students onto our campuses. In fact, they had Saturday academies, they had cohorts in our athletics. So they have been used to bringing students on campus in groups. So that is also what has started. And that was all through a collaborative process. And they were, those decisions were made through a collaborative process with teachers. And as we went through our elementary opening, the best thing was that it was a collaborative effort, and we noticed that classified doing things to help our opening, and also our certificated administration and our parents. So even our parents, you see, they know all their routines now. They know exactly how to drop off students, how to pick them up. So just a huge, huge thank you to our entire community. So when talking with Mrs. Coronado and Mr. Castillo, we talked about, okay, now let's look at our secondary and let's see what our best options are for secondary. So looking at our safety culture, that's incredibly important. In fact, we're practicing that, we're starting today with our freshmen. So we started with our group of freshmen today, just very small amount of students, about 100 showed up today, and we will continue that this week. And WAMS will start their training coming back in January. So that has also started. They started walking in this today, getting their symptom checks, temperatures checked, and making sure that all PPE was supplied for students. So we had hand sanitizer, masks, and everything ready for students. I can tell you that they were extremely excited to be on campus. You could see the joy in their eyes, I would say. They had a lot of joy in their eyes to be here on campus and to be welcomed by Mrs. Coronado and her staff. So very impressive today. We're all ready for bringing students back and making sure that we have the staff and the student workspaces ready to go. So all the technology and the air scrubbing, everything's ready to go in order to come back. Student training, and that's continuing on. So our safety culture is incredibly important. Then we also put in the last 3 weeks a lot of details and planning. We talked to many groups in order for us to come up with a plan that will be shown to you shortly. But we did have a chance to have our parent groups, we had our ELAC groups, our school site council, curriculum council, our labor partners involved, PLC leadership, student advisory for both campuses, and our district advisory group that met every Thursday. So it was a very much a collaborative process and team effort as we started looking at all of the details and what was needed to bring students back on campus. Because as you know, face-to-face is really important for our kids to come back in a safe way. So the concept that we looked at, we knew that we're going to have to scale back. And as you heard, Mrs. Jones talked about this process of throttling up and throttling down and making sure that we put ourselves in a good position in order to throttle up and throttle down. So the plan that you're going to see it allows us to do that. It allows us to bring many more students back, or if we need to go back to distance learning, we're able to do that too we're really trying to minimize disruptions for our students. So the student group, what you'll notice is there's part of the day is distance learning still, and then part of the day we are bringing some student groups back. Mr. Castillo and Mrs. Coronado will talk to you about how those groups were chosen and what their plans are with more specific details. This was PLC driven from our teachers. So it was not Mrs. Coronado and Mr. Castillo saying, okay, this is what we're going to do. They went back and forth to their teams many a times, to their leadership teams and to their teams of teachers to make those decisions in a collaborative way. You'll also notice in the PM, they have groups coming back, and it's students for academic reasons, but also to bring them back to campus for campus connections. So we have a mix of students coming back. So on this next slide, you'll see, in order to service our kids, this is just a visual for you, and you'll also have schedules right in front of you. You'll have 3 schedules in front of you. And this is just the basic to show you that approximately 300 to 350 students will start at WAMS. About 800 to 900 students will start at Sanger High. Okay, and that's per day, just so that you're aware on that. So per day, and so if you look overall, some of those students, they might come twice a week, some might come all week long. But those are just a basic schedule so that you can see that. And again, this is for us, we have to be sure we see our kids face to face and we give them the best service that we can. And then we can throttle up and throttle down. At this time, I'd like to introduce Mrs. Coronado, who will go into more of the details of what the Sanger High School schedule looks like and answer any questions for you that you might have about Sanger High.
All right, everybody hearing? Good evening. I kind of had to scoot over here, so just bear with me. I really am so excited to be able to present this plan to you tonight. This has been a collaborative process from the very get-go, and I could not have done it without a lot of very many stakeholders. So as we built this, it has changed. It's kind of grown and adapted, which is a good thing because, we need all of ourselves working together to try to come up with something that is really supportive of all our students. And so when we look at that, I love to hear all the input from our teachers and our PLCs and, SUDA, everyone, so that we can build the best plan for Sanger Unified and for Sanger High School students. So with that, we came up with kind of a starting point of a plan because, as we all know, the best place for students is on campus. However, the circumstances now, we have to have a safety culture that will support our students as we move through the different stages that are going to be happening in the next couple months and over the, all the way to the next 6 months maybe. So we wanted to have something that was going to be able to, transition, change. It's almost like a living type of document. And with this, were really excited about being able to provide our students with the same sort of stability that is ingrained in the classes that they have been accustomed to really learning how to adapt to this first semester. Because it's been a big adaptation for our students to be able to, learn all the ins and outs of virtual learning. They've made a lot of connections with their teachers. So we wanted to try to have a plan that was going to, build on that. So with that, we went ahead and started. We're keeping our Mondays virtual. And that's a good starting point. It allows our teachers their PLC time so they can collaborate and provide the best instruction for their students as we progress throughout the semester. The second, on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, we will be providing virtual learning in the morning. What that looks like for our students is a traditional type of block schedule. So you'll note that each period is 1 hour and 30 minutes, which at the high school is a fair amount of time for instruction. And it provides the students the opportunity to have kind of a schedule that they've grown accustomed to. So on Monday, or Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, you'll notice also that on Tuesday it's 1, 3, and 5. Actually, it's 1, 2, 3. I take it back. Sorry, 1, 2, 3. And then on Wednesday it's 4, 5, 6. This was a purposeful choice as far as that goes, because we wanted to, as we change schedules, it'll give us the opportunity. If we go to the next level, then we have that similar schedule, and eventually as we go into a hybrid, it would be a schedule that is students have become accustomed to. So with that, we have lunch from 12:40 to 1:25, and then the afternoon, and this is where it gets really exciting because we are able to service 1,800 kids throughout the week. Not all in the same day, but a staggered type of setting, which allows students that are feeling comfortable enough, whose families are comfortable enough to send them to campus, will receive in-person support and instruction, and in a lot of ways, the hands-on requirements that really support their instruction that they've been doing virtually. So in the morning, they'll receive all their direct virtual instruction, and then in the afternoon, they'll have the opportunity to come on campus and participate in a variety of different opportunities. We look at academics first, and we looked at our students that were needing those supports. We're looking at our SPED students, we're looking at our EL students, we're looking at the Tier 3, students who have been really struggling academically, and also our social-emotional students. The students that need to have social and emotional support on campus. And it's been fabulous because the PLCs have run with this. They've taken the idea and they have said, Kirstin, you know what? I have this idea. Okay, let's kind of, adapt and make some changes. Because we have at Sanger High School, as everybody knows, we're very multifaceted. We have ag classes that a student can only do so much virtual welding till it reaches the point that they need to be on campus. We have engineering. They need to be able to participate in building some of their requirements. We have AP students that will really benefit from having that written component where a teacher is walking them through the essay. We have EL students that really appreciate having someone, a caring adult, to support them in person. So we have a variety of students. So groups in the afternoon will allow us and our campus to build what we want to have for our students and for our community. And I feel that, you know, messaging this out to the community, they're going to be very excited about this, because at this time we have our groups, and we have about 400 students that are coming on campus. So this will be able to have, you know, basically quadruple the amount of students that are on campus, where it's still for students and families that are not in the position, they feel that their comfort level is not to come on campus. They are someone that is not put in an awkward position. So with Sanger High School, that is our first stage of our January 11th starting point. And like I said, our campus is very excited about it. I've talked to all of our teachers, I've talked to parents groups, student groups, and I think we're in a good place. And from there, the next step is, you know, kind of just one level up from this. And then we have all of our levels. We've got lots of levels. So I think that, you know, if you guys have any questions, I'd more than happy to answer anything, but that is our plan for moving forward.
Questions from the board?
Yes.
Yeah, all their teachers know about this schedule already.
Correct.
It's not a surprise. Tonight's not a surprise to anybody.
No.
Okay.
No. Tomorrow, I mean, we are going to release it to the community tomorrow, but
Yeah.
all the staff knows. We've already presented it at the faculty meeting.
And then when you said student groups worked on it also, what students were that?
So we've actually presented in a couple of different areas. I have a principal forum that I meet with once a month. And so those students were able to kind of vet through it, because I want to hear it from a student perspective. And so they were part of it. We also have students that are on ELAC and School Side Council, and we met with those groups as well.
So this is going to be offered, you know, like in elementary, you have people that are doing distance learning, and have people that are in school, okay, the
Correct.
hybrid part, right?
Yeah.
How is that going to be at the high school? Is that the same type of thing that's happening? Is there going to be a totally distance learning going on with some students and some of them coming to this?
So how it's working at Sanger High School in January is it will have all your classes will be virtual in the morning.
Yes.
So the students will be all participating in the same classes that are assigned in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the afternoon, we have broken down each teacher, and we're basically right now going through and establishing groups for each teacher with the teacher input that they will be bringing on campus. And we'll provide transportation for those students if needed, and we'll also provide, you know, they'll be in the classroom with the teacher. And we're not duplicating students, so we're going through, it's a very tedious process. It's almost like a draft when you think of like a football draft, because you're going through and you're making sure that we have all of our students that need support, first layers, and then all of our additional classes also. So we also will be providing, so the goal is that you're going to have a teacher that is providing group in-person support, but then there'll also be the ability for virtual support in the afternoon also for those students who are not able to necessarily come on campus.
So they have a choice, though. They don't have to come in, right?
For students?
For the students.
So students, it's a very collaborative conversation with the parents.
Yeah.
And if the parents, because, you know, we have to respect the family's wishes at this time, but in some senses, we will definitely stress that being on campus may support the student academically, and we have all the safety protocols in place to support their student. But at the end of the day, it's the family's, you know, desire. If they desire their child stays home, then that would be something that we would assign them to a virtual intervention type.
So it'll be a whole different virtual.
It will be still with teachers, but it will be virtual. Yes, our teachers.
Okay. I just see some issues right there. You know, some parents thinking that's not going to be enough. You know, so.
You mean with not being enough on?
You know, the virtual, because it's going to be. Is it going to be cut down with what they have right now? Is it going to be less virtual for the students that are going to school right now? Is it going to be less virtual for them?
No, the time is not going to be less as far as instruction goes.
Good. Okay.
Yeah, because initially, moving forward this beginning of the semester, we had the 30 minutes and then we had synchronous and asynchronous. So the expectation is more of an extension into a full hour and a half block, like a traditional type of block of instruction. So it's equitable instruction.
So our goal is to make sure everybody's participating, and that's the main goal then, right?
And
That's going to be the,
yeah, our goal is to provide the students the opportunity to come on campus that are wanting that opportunity, and also provide support for our students that are struggling academically that are not 100% comfortable being on campus too, and not having to switch people's classes and do different things like that.
So, Mr. Hernandez, just to add clarity, I guess, or attempt to add clarity, all students will be on distance learning in the morning.
yeah.
And then some will have the opportunity to come in person on campus, of course, in collaboration with their families.
Yeah.
In addition, there'll be the opportunity for virtual in the afternoon as well for some students.
So
who may
some
not
other
come.
ones. Okay, so there's still more.
Correct. So there's the options there that are available.
Okay. Thank you.
Mrs. Florio, can you
Sorry.
turn on your mic, please?
I'm sorry. No, I have a question on how we're going to keep our students safe. I saw how they had the elementary, we had additional people on campus fogging and cleaning the classrooms. Are we going to have that kind of collaboration with our classified and monitors and staff keeping our students safe?
So for both secondary, they're not moving classrooms, so they'll have one time where they come on campus into a particular classroom, and then they will then go home. So there'll be only one time they're in the classroom, and then they will have custodians in for fogging, cleaning, and campus monitors helping with those things as well.
Okay. Yes, I saw how they did at the elementary school, and it was a wonderful dance that they took care of all our students.
And
We come back
All of
that
that, yes, all of the safety protocols that are required and expected and will be carried out at the secondary level as well.
Full team effort.
And they've been doing all the safety protocols with our current cohorts that
Right.
are on campus, and we have logs that are posted and everything for fogging and all the sanitization as it goes through.
And we also are bringing additional campus monitors onto both campuses to help with those things.
Okay. I'd like to come in and see how they did it, how they do it. I had the privilege of going to Jefferson with Miss Jones, and we were able to see how they did it. So I'd like to be invited over and see how you guys do it.
In January, once we get started, a couple weeks into, just like what we did with the elementaries, I'll have Tim Lopez schedule another visit so that you guys can see the secondary schools in action.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Coronado.